Very indecisive market to end the month, up and down and all around. But you know what you need? You need some drugs over the weekend. You're feeling better, at least for that beaten down sector. We'll talk about the ASCO conference and the major implications for a lot of stocks. Not earnings. Who cares about Campbell's soup? Some ratings, some notable ratings to cover. Stephen Orr, CEO, Quazar Markets. You guys are going to love what he wants to talk about. Quantum stocks and robotics. It's a Monday. Wake up. Pre-market prep starting right now.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right. Good morning, traders and investors. We're down about 21 handles here, 58, 94, 75. But let me know, we're 30 handles off that pre-market low. The buck in the red, substantially 65 cents here, 98.73. TLT, well, it was nice while it lasted. Down a $1.06 at 85.22. Big move in crude on OPEC cuts, 287, back over $70 with a rally hold. GLD bouncing back up 560, 309.20. Silver, the laggard, that's up 20 cents at 30.20. And Bitcoin futures, they're down $625 at 104,500. Let's bring in Triple D, the lumberjack.
Oh, yeah. It was a wood shopping weekend here, and it's still wood shopping. That tree, I took down two. The one was just absolutely enormous, so I did tweet a video of it on the weekend. It was a huge oak, and it's just been a split nightmare here. So 5-6 hours of splitting Saturday. My wife told me you can't split on Sunday because we got the gas-powered splitter, and it's too loud, so it's like neighbors and stuff. You don't want to, split, and even though our neighbors are pretty far away, but I get it. So we didn't split. So I'm gonna have to do some more splitting today in the next.
So you you actually have a thing that you throw the wood into?
No, gas powered splitter. So so it's there. You got to pick the logs up. Yeah, I actually have one. It's my
first.
It down. But you're sitting there and you're just splitting the house. I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I get hired to do that, but taking those trees down like that oak. So somebody was telling me. Well, John was telling me in the STN room it was like $3,500 for his tree. But I'm like, there was another person I talked to on the weekend. Somebody paid $6,000 to get rid of a tree, $6,000. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm like, so my buddy and me dropped the tree, and I'm just splitting and processing. My father-in-law is over; he's good at it too, and just helping with it. But it's my wife's helping.
Obviously, you're not looking at. You're not looking. You're not looking at risk-reward ratios, and then we'll move on after this because the risk of that tree falling on you.
No, there's no
cutting your hand off. All right, whatever.
We're not rookies.
Whatever. I don't know. I don't even like to mow the lawn. Okay.
Remove a tree.
Dennis, I know what you want to talk about. Did you have to take any Advil or any drugs or anything to feel better from that? Did you have to do that? Were you sore?
Oh, yeah.
Take some Advil?
Oh, yeah. No, really sore. I woke up and I had to get in the pool, and I was really sore because I sit on my butt all day. I mean, I need some physical activity. Yeah, Mike in the chat saying he paid $5,000 to get rid of a 60-foot pine. So I guess we're right. We're $4, $5, $6 to take these trees down. So, but this isn't a tree. This isn't a lumberjack show. This is a stock show. And the trade that worked out perfectly, which we talked about on pre-market prep, which we talked about in the STN room this weekend, was the XBI trade. The ASCO conference started on May 30th, Friday, and went through the weekend here. And there's just numerous deals, numerous trial results, which were good. If you don't know what ASCO is, the American Society of Clinical Oncology. It was in Chicago. Continues on into tomorrow as well. But it was all weekend, ASCO 25. You can just go on Twitter and go ASCO 25. You'll find out all kinds of details. We got all kinds of biotech news. So I did do the XBI. It was one of the only trades I did this over the weekend here because I was nervous about nervous about tariffs. I was nervous about Trump. I was like, I didn't know where we were going with China. I'm like, you know what? The only thing I'm really comfortable with, it was the XBI. I had a couple other smaller ones, but that's the one I did. So my main overnight weekend trade was the XBI long. Short IWM and SPY against it. It's fun when you make on both sides. XBI trading up 1.17%, SPY down 0.32%, IWM down 0.15%. So it's fun when you make on all sides of that trade. Really good morning for me because of that, but good morning for a lot of these other traders who are in these specific stocks. I mean, we can start probably with one of the deals. We got
Talk about the hedge. Talk about the hedge because
it's a hard thing to hedge.
I'm sorry?
So it's a hard XBI is a
Right.
hard thing to hedge, but I wanted to be long because of the ASCO. So I wanted to be
Okay.
long that. So I just kind of did a SPY IWM combo. So if the stocks all get killed, you hope like the IWM and SPY gets killed along with it. That kind of happened, but XBI is not getting killed because there's so much good drug news here this weekend. So that hedging is tough. You know, like it's hard to like just go and say, okay, I'm going to XBI and I have a hedge with IBB. Like I'm trying to grab from the conference. So and the XBI weekend trade, I've talked about this for years. I often go long the XBI on Friday nights because if we get M&A in biotech land, it's often done on the Monday morning. So you're getting exposure to over 100 small biotech companies. Why do I pick on XBI? Because IBB is the bigger companies. Those are the ones that are probably doing the acquiring. The XBI are the companies that could potentially be acquired. So I've done that one for years, but I haven't been doing it lately because just the market we've been in XBI has been better and it has been working. But I did say this week, I'm like, I'm going to do it this weekend because of ASCO. So it worked well. But just jumping like individual stories here, and I mean, there's so many of them. Let's start with the big merger here. We got SNY, Sanofi buying BPMC, which is Blueprint Medicines, for $129 a share. So that one is a huge benefit to the XBI because if you go into and look into the whole thing, BPMC is 2.46% of XBI. So 26% times 2.46%, just doing the error math, 25 times 25 is 625. That's 0.62% of XBI. So right there, XBI goes up 0.62% just because of that stock. That's the majority of the gains actually this morning for the XBI. But there's a lot of other news too, and some of these other stocks aren't in the XBI. But you hit one, and it can make your day. So we hit one, which is good. BNTX is getting a deal with BMY, not fully acquired here, but there's a deal there as well. And then there's just multiple trials. So, I mean, we can go into all those details if you want to talk in any specific stocks. But, I mean, maybe start just talking with, biotechs in general. Maybe do a setup on technicals on XBI, Joel, because maybe people are thinking maybe this is something that can kickstart biotechs. Maybe this is like a catalyst that biotech needed. It's like, oh, all of a sudden we got life in biotech this year. Even though the market's down. If the market would have been up, biotech would be up a lot more, but the market is weighing on it a little bit. Give us some technicals on XBI, Joel.
Well, first I want to mention, I know for sure that we had Sahak Manuelian in on Wednesday, and he talked about this sector. He talked about if there was a little rotation, and then I'm not sure if our Thursday guest Chris Zaccarelli mentioned it either. But I remember talking about this. Quiet consolidation. We've moved up off the lows, right? And you can't really say it's like an uptrend because this thing's been downtrending for so long. But if you look from April, you had a nice rally along with the market. You had a little bit of a check back. You have consolidation. And now you got a positive catalyst. I would just say setting up the technicals, maybe, wow, Friday's high is not that far from here, 79.79. So to me, if this is like two things can happen. One, to just catch a bid at 80 and rally this thing and just keep on going. Or it's what's happened in the XBI for a long time. It's a big move up 1% and they fade it. But you do have you have a good level right at Friday's high. And then the high from last week is 80.58. So that's all I'm looking at as far as technicals and XBI. Nice consolidation.
So I have sold my XBI here this morning. I sold at 80.20, 80.19, 80.23, multiple places. And you look at like what's weighing, TLT is down. That's not good for the XBI. there's some reasons to think that the trade could fade. And, we get through this conference, it ends tomorrow. Maybe it shows some life here today. But like you said, Joel, it's been faded so many times. I do have some XBI in the long-term portfolio, which has not been good. But it's hard to come in here and say, yeah, this is going to be the turn. I think there's a cast that has the potential. I have been buying and starting to nibble into some drug stocks in my long-term portfolio just because they've gotten to a point where the valuations are just stupidly cheap. And I think if you got a 5 or 10 year time horizon now, maybe it's time to start nibbling a little bit. But I'm taking nibbles because this has just been a place where money goes to die, not just biotech, but drugs in general. And we know this administration is still hell bent on bringing drug prices down, which is not good for big pharma either. So there's a lot of headwinds, not a lot of tailwinds. And that's probably just keeps us to trading vehicles maybe more than thinking, oh, I'm buying XBI, I'm going to make a lot of money over the next 2 years. I mean, this administration probably, and again, XBI is a lot of smaller companies that aren't making money yet, but eventually those drug prices, do matter even to smaller companies. I think it's still going to be a tough row to hoe in biotech and in pharma, at least for the next few years, if Trump's still going to be trying to bring drug pricing down.
The one thing I say about this Blue Pit Meds Corp, I mean, that has a bit of bad looking chart. Obviously, they came out with some good news to begin May, and then you had a consolidation. So,
And now it
strong,
gets bought.
yeah, and now it gets bought. So, there's people paying attention to these things just real quickly. The primary drug here, I'm gonna Vacat demonstrating significant long-term benefits, including improvements in bone mineral density over time. This could be a $2 billion drug by 2030. So buying a little bit of going for the growth here. Sanofi, I mean, that's already been in the gutter here. Or was this rumored? What happened to Sanofi on Friday? Holy mackerel! Maybe someone rumored. So it got whacked, but
Dead.
yeah, what happened on Friday?
I don't know. This
No,
has the tax too. I hate trading this stock because you get the transaction tax on this one. There's not very many, but I think it's the France stocks, and when you trade it, you get like a 0.3% transaction tax, which just ticks you
per
off
share.
after you make
Per
the trade.
share?
It was 0.3%. Yeah. You get I don't know what it is, like 12 cents a share or something. 10 cents a
So
share. It's
so
it's on a percentage basis.
oh, do
Yeah,
you
you
get
make
that
a
on?
trade in this, you get taxed. You get a bill. I don't know. Robinhood passes that through. They probably do. I don't know. They're not going to absorb that. There's a transaction tax on this. I mean, that's just a turnoff for trading altogether. Like if the U.S. and there was talks, a few years ago with transaction tax over here, kill trading. Just kill the entire industry. Blow it up. Because it's hard. Like, I mean, a lot of these smaller, even mine, if you're trading quite a bit, 0.2, 0.3%, it adds up. Yeah, so that's why I don't even like trading SNY, because I don't like paying the transaction tax. France
Okay.
tax. Correct, Michael.
Wow.
Lots of other.
Yeah.
And we got
Yep.
the steel story coming. Like when people are talking about the steel story, it's coming. That was from Friday night. So we're still just covering biotech here for a second because this is huge movers.
There's a lot.
I mean, we got Chimera, KYMR Therapeutics. That one's ripping higher. Again, this is mostly trial stuff. So they announced positive first in-human results for phase 1 healthy volunteer clinical trial KT621 first-in-class oral STAT6 degrader. I don't know what any of that means, but it's good news. I mean, we can go to the next one. VERA.
Well, just real quick. I know it's hard to do technicals on this stuff, but
It is.
before I looked at the price action, I looked at just like this $45 area. I'm like, wow, double top there, just above it. And in the pre-market, those ones that got all excited took it to 46.76. So very hard to do technicals on these things. You did get the pop. I'd worry a little bit about the fade, but if you got back up to 45 here, I'd be even just under 45 too. So that's for Chimera Therapeutics.
LaCastor, I don't know how to say your name, sorry, in the chat there is making the point. I forgot. It was off Regeneron. I do remember that now. So Sanofi was down on Regeneron news because they were doing that one.
Excellent.
Yeah, so there it is, posting it. Regeneron just got absolutely murdered. Nobody interested in buying, making new 52-week lows. And I mean, this is why we've been talking. Like Pharma has just been an awful place to be. Regeneron in the middle of 2024 made new all-time highs at $1,200 a share. It's down to 490. I mean, these drugs, and this is what I've been talking about in the STN room. I think at a certain point in time, it's going to be a play to start buying. I'm starting to nibble in some. I bought an ETF on Friday just to cover a little bit of it on some of this. But I mean, Regeneron's P is down to 12. You got multiple stocks in this industry. P's are 9, 8, 10. I mean, they're just getting so cheap. But if they bring drug pricing down, that's going to bring the earnings down and bring the PE back up. So, I mean, lots to think about. Bristol Myers forward P is 7. I mean, these stocks are just dirt cheap. And I mean, which brings us, to Bristol Myers, and they're doing a deal with BNTX, and it's trading up 50 cents here. Bristol Myers this morning. BNTX is up 11%. I mean, we could stop there for a second. Some people trade Biotech, and that's been a good one. I was always thinking like Moderna was the better one, but it hasn't been the case. BNTX has been the better place to be. They enter a $11.1 billion cancer deal. So they're doing a collaboration on this cancer drug deal between Bristol Myers and BNTX. And BNTX obviously benefiting significantly from this because it's trading up 11%. You want to do technicals on BNTX or Bristol Myers?
I just want to say, it's like nothing jumps out to me at 110 whatsoever. I don't even know. I mean, it might be like a 0.618 of this move, but that's just a psychological. The main point I would want to make on something like this is that if you're buying it off the hop, you want to see a bid. You want to see 107 bid, 108 bid. Throw some out at 110. If not, you might be assuming the high of the day is already in here for BNTX.
And Jay Rice making the point in the chat, which we have made on this show a lot too. The reason biotech is cheap, and the reason, well, not biotech, but drug stocks in general are cheap, and especially mega cap drugs, is there's no growth. The growth has slowed down to a trickle, and in some cases may actually be going, like decelerating here. So it's not been a great place to be. And this market is all about growth. It's been about growth for a very long time. It's about a story, and the story is just not there. And with, like I just said, you've got an uphill battle with Trump fighting drug pricing. So there's a lot of reasons to probably stay away from this sector. I was looking at my long-term portfolio, and I'm like, I don't have any drugs, like hardly at all. I have some Pfizer, which was a disaster. I had 2 other ones, or I had the XBI, and then I had something else too, a small speculative name, which was a disaster too. But I'm like, maybe at a certain point in time, if you got a 5 to 10 year time horizon, it's time to start like nibbling on some of these companies, because like I know like 10 years ago they were saying the same thing about Merck. I'm like, well, there's no growth here, there's no story. Lilly was the same story too. Lilly had a patent expires way before they had the drug. Obviously the weight loss drug going. It was like 12 or 13 years ago, and I bought Eli Lilly at like $35 a share because I was like, it's got an 8% dividend here now, and it did. And I'm like, eventually there's going to be, more drugs coming. You can't always predict. This was probably even in 2010 if you go all the way back. I don't know if your charts can go that far back, Joel, but it was like way back there. And I think I paid like $35 or $40 a share. It went down to 30. I was down like 25% or something on that for a year. It was just garbage. And then, it started getting life. And obviously I sell way too early. I think I sold it like $100 and some dollars or whatever, and it's now $700. But it was like a triple for me, and I got that 8% dividend. And Merck was the same thing. So, I mean, sometimes you have to separate trading and investing, because sometimes when stocks just get cheap enough, then you stick them in your long-term portfolio and you don't look at them anymore. And people say, well, how do you stop out of that? It's like, I don't use stops in my long-term portfolio. I'm in there because I think the valuation is good. If I use stops in my long-term portfolio, I would have been stopped out of my Tesla, which was my best stock last year. I would have been stopped out on the Lilly, stopped out on the Merck, stopped out on all of those things. So I don't use stops in my long-term portfolio. Maybe that's stupid, but it's worked for me. On my trading, I don't use stops either, but I've had the mental stops. I know where my out is. I'm very, much of about immediate gratification. You want to see your trade start to work. You don't want to see it working against you. So, you got to separate that. And I'm not advocating to not use stops and not have risk management, but I'm saying there's different, risk management techniques depending on your time horizon. I manage my risk by, if the story has changed, if I got the story wrong, then, I'm going to take a loss. But, when you're trying to go for 200, 300, 400% gainers sometimes in the long-term portfolio, you can't be risking 5, 10%. You got to have a little bit higher, wider. So maybe you go smaller size, wider time horizon. But, that stuff we've talked about in the STN room lots and on this show.
Moderna, going back into the archives here of former darlings of Wall Street, receives U.S. FDA approval for COVID-19 vaccine. I believe it's for people over 65. Once again, a pop, but not holding. Pre-market
Moderna's been
high.
a terrible story for a while here. I was in this for a little bit, and I'm like, just the COVID story is just, killed it. I've wanted to get back in, but the flu shot vaccines, and they're having problems there too. Where they were firing on all cylinders during COVID, they're firing on no cylinders here now. I don't know what turns the story around, but now they're in a cash burn situation. I believe last time I looked, maybe there's the path back to profitability here, but it has been just a mess. So I've just stayed away from this name. Even from a trading perspective, I've stayed away from this name. And I believe, yes, they're still in a cash burn situation. So it's been ugly. I don't know what turns the story around. There is some support here. The technicals look okay here. What do you think of the technicals? They look okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can, yeah. If you're long term, you put it away. You can pick it up here, and you're not that darn close to the low of the move, which is 23.30. So if you think they're gonna, the risk reward, I don't think it's ever going back to what 500, 497.49. But you know, wait for a catalyst, put it in there, lean on the low. Let's do two more drug stocks, and then we gotta move
Still,
on off the drugs. This is this is winner chicken dinner here.
oh God,
Woo!
this is the number of
Lyra
the day.
Therapeutics.
Yeah.
Shares are trading. How are the company announced? It's Enlighten Phase 3 trial. Enlighten 2, that is. Phase 3 trial of LYR 210 met its primary endpoint.
Achieving statistical significant results and primary. That's what you want to see, is stuff like that. This is an explosion here. I mean, this is like, winner chicken dinner of the day. It's up 498%. Stock went out at $4.93, is now $29. It's a little bit off the pre-market highs. Trading this at this point in
No
time is going
idea.
to be a difficult
No
one
idea.
here too. I mean, this stuff is wild, but just showing you, like you get these weekends with these ASCO. There's a time and place to like put risk capital to work, in biotech. And remember these conferences. When you get these big conferences here, these are your opportunities, folks. These are your opportunities.
Is
Like
this a
when you get
drug
these big
for
conferences.
animals?
I
Because
don't
it said for chronic rhinosinusitis. So is it for rhinos that have sinus infections? Do you know? Not a good joke.
He'll be
Not a good
here.
joke.
He'll be here. He'll be here all week, folks. And don't forget to tip your bartender.
know.
Thanks, Brad. You won't be because you're fired today. Let's see here. VERA.
Up
Last one, I swear,
61%.
folks.
Yeah, last one. There's so many biotech stories here today.
I don't know. Pre-market, just glancing all these charts, they got some big. This one was just in the gutter. It got to pop, and you got to. If these things are going to go, you got to get back up to the pre-market high. So I've enjoyed this show so much because we have not talked tariffs for 24 minutes.
I know we need a break from tariffs for once. We just need a break, and it was refreshing. It was refreshing to talk about a sector doing well and starting with a positive note. And again, maybe this is a positive note here too, because there's 3 stocks doing really well off the news that was broken Friday night. Surprise, surprise! It was actually a surprise to a lot of people. Trump announces 50% tariffs on steel, so he doubles it on Friday night, and you just saw an explosion in the U.S. steel names. Nucor up 10.74%. Steel Dynamics up 11.08% this morning. Cleveland Cliffs, the winner of the day in the sector, up 25.73%. If you're wondering why U.S. Steel is not up, because it's obviously already got the takeover already. So we already know you're not going to get bonus money off of that. The price is the price. But Cleveland Cliffs, Nucor, Steel Dynamics. I'm long Nucor in the long-term portfolio. It's also been a bad place to be. NUE, the value trade's just not working here. Coming back though, I'm actually not down too far in this thing now. I bought it at I bought this years ago at so if I consider it, I bought it like $50 or $49. And I sold some at $150, and then I rebought it like $140 or something, after it had went up and came back down. I was like, I want my shares back. So I rebought my shares. But now it looks like I'm down it because I've got the new cost basis.
That's one of your worst strategies, the rebuy.
The rebuy?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean,
Sometimes just
it's
stay
worked
away.
a couple times, but
Yeah.
a lot of times the rebuy.
Just stay away. I did it with SMCI. I killed it, and then it had fallen from $1,000 down to like 400 or 500 bucks, and I'm like, okay, I'm rebuying some, and then it just kept going lower. So I mean, it's tough. Yeah, sometimes just maybe stay away. You're out clean, stay clean. Hey, I never really analyzed that on myself. The rebuys sometimes aren't that great, but then sometimes they are. Tricky. Long-term investing, it's okay. It's trickier. I do much like more consistent at the trading. The long-term investing still is interesting.
Okay.
You go into these value markets though, I do better because I have the Warren Buffett approach.
Okay, let's go to some of the big boys here that are not having the most positive price action. The big boy, of course, Tesla here, traded down $5 over the weekend, Dennis. I mean, it's trying to break out, but just seems
Yeah.
like Neo clocks 13% deliveries growth in May. Tesla lags.
Well, this is the problem: is we have more sales data from Europe, and it's not great. I mean, the car sales here have fallen off a cliff, at least in Europe. Down 49% we found last week. You know, quarter over quarter, they look like they're going to be down now. We got a huge Tesla promoter, Gary Black, has sold all of his Tesla stock. I follow him closely. He's a good follow on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. But he's been all over the Tesla story for a long time. And we, I think, read his tweet from Friday. But I can read it again. He says Tesla now trades at a forward P of 180 times. In the history of the stock market, we can't find a single $1 trillion market cap company that traded at a forward P of 180 times. So, and he used Grok with no success to try to find that. But, you know, he's talking about the sales growth slow, you know, and you have a cool story here. I mean, Optimus is going to be, you know, coming here, and it's going to be a huge industry. But it's a long ways out yet. FSD is a cool story. Robotaxi is a cool story. I think I'm still long some Tesla in the long-term account, but I just can't get over like how bad the car sales are. And that's why I've sold the majority of my position. I think I'm going to get reback in at some point in time. And I do think Tesla has the path to go higher, backed by full self-drive and Optimus. But it's been tough here right now. And I don't know if they care. Maybe they don't care about the car sales. They're all about story. But if this market ever starts to care about the car sales, the stock is really expensive now.
You know, this thing moves, and then the buy the dippers come in. But
They do.
just look at, I mean, you got a quad top, and you made a new high for them. Now it's not as close. Yeah, look at this 365 area. That flanks 4 highs from last week because we had a shortened trading week. All 4 highs within the same area. So, whew, could be a reversal. I would say whatever way I'm gonna look at the low end and say it's still in an uptrend, consolidating down a little bit. I don't think it starts to get ugly in Tesla until you breach the 232 area. I think if you're taking a stab here at
Or
341,
332. 332
3,
area?
3, I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
232
Uh,
would be ugly.
yeah,
If it gets back down to 232.
I mean, I just like the technical setup here with like multiple highs here in this area. Also, that's kind of where it failed from in February, and then on the downside here, well defined. So I think you can yo-yo in between here. If you get the strong market new all-time highs, which everyone's expecting, then you'll bust through this 365. Or, you know, if we start to, you know, come down to, you know, float towards those, well, April lows are only 1,000 handles away. I keep an eye on that. I just don't like these kind of areas here where you get a lot of air. So there's a look for you range traders in Tesla, and also perhaps if you're looking at it from a little bit of a longer term perspective. Uh, we got our guest coming up, Stephen Orr. He's the CEO of Quazar Markets. He's got some great topics to talk to us about. I want to bring up a stock here that if you're looking for the bellwether of the market and the tell of the market, you can't be happy with the price action in Nvidia post earnings.
Yeah, and we've seen this sell the rip mentality here, and I was saying it last week, is it's starting to come back where we're getting into a sell the rip market, and I think it still is showing up everywhere kind of now, where you're getting pops and then they're not really holding. Nvidia obviously had the good earnings pop, but then it's been leaking and leaking, and now it's filled the earnings gap, and now it's below it, and it's just, you know, it hasn't really paid to chase too much in 2025, but in the last month it has, you know, where you've been chasing and stocks just been relentlessly going higher. But like we've been saying, there's a lot of reasons to think it's going to be a tougher second half. And I still think there's the path where you could get to all-time highs here, which we're not too far away from. But as we're starting to see some weakness, and that starts to look a little bit more dicey, because I think we get into July, August, I think tariffs are going to have an issue here. TLT continues to go lower here today. You don't want to see the TLT start breaking down and making new lows again, because I think they're paying attention now to the bonds. And if you start seeing TLT start taking out the 84 level, it's going to be another tell to say, hey, maybe we should lighten up some risk exposure here. It's been a really good, like some people had really good months, in April.
Oh
and
my
May.
God! I mean, off the
Stocks have come
April
back
low, what do
so
you
far.
want after a 20% year? I mean, come on! What do you
Well,
want
20%
from the
move from
market?
the lows, yeah. Like a lot
What
of
do you
people, because it's
want?
S&Ps, they're almost flat on the year, but up from the lows. It's been a 20% move in 6 weeks. I mean, this is an enormous move. So I think we have to give that perspective here as well, as like it's just not going to be as easy sledding, I think, going forward as it was in the last month. Stocks were very much oversold in April. The tariff tantrum happened. Now we've just probably gotten to a spot where they're almost too overbought. And that's why I think you're starting to see sellers come in on good news on stocks and actually, selling the reps, because they're looking to lighten up a little bit more. You didn't see the Octa dip get bought here. You had to stay 3, so they're backing off on that too. The tape is telling you the last couple days it's turned a little bit. So you're starting to see more defensive names start to perk up a little bit again, So I think we're just, a little bit more caution probably into June. And then, maybe obviously it's going to depend on what next headline. I mean, the headlines drive everything. But we're down here again today. Probably worries about tariffs starting to come here again. We don't know if they're going to be allowed, not allowed. We don't know what's happening with that, but it looks like they're going to be allowed. Lots to chew on, lots to think about.
Analogous to the 332 level in Tesla, 130 in Nvidia here. If you're coming down, I mean, where do you go if it takes out 130? I mean, there's just nowhere to go. So if you're buying it here, use that area as potential stop area or reversal area. Boom, there you go. There's a look. Trading in the red, Nvidia. Well, we had some stocks moving off conferences that we covered off the ASCO, but our next guest went to a different conference, and I know it's topics you guys are going to enjoy. That's a nice smile.
Thanks, man. How are you, Joel?
Good. I won't penalize you for the red shirt, but the smile overcomes that. How you doing? How are things over at Quazar Markets?
Oh, it's very good. It's interesting. You asked Joel. You were just talking about the conferences. I just got back from the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I've attended all of them since the beginning. And this was the most well-attended conference, bar none. Last year was in Nashville. I would say almost 5 times as large. The parties were bigger. The people were happier. Yeah, it's easy to say that when Bitcoin's up to 105,000, right? But what I found more than anything at the conference was the adoption of crypto into mainstream. Just in the last 3 years, ETFs, derivatives, options, all of those things, and it's coming online even faster. I think that if you ask the question of what were the main themes in the last 5 years, it had always been the same. It's crypto, it's Pepe coin, it's all of those kind of things. But if you looked at it from the perspective of this year compared to the last year, there were 3 major themes. One of the themes obviously was artificial intelligence and how they're going to introduce that into crypto. It's working now with decentralized finance and a few other things. But the big one I thought that was the new one this year was robotics, how we incorporate into our daily lives. And when you say that to the average person and go, oh, we're far away from having the Jetsons in our house. Well, not really, because you already have Alexa in your house. You already have those things that we already talked to. I think the difference is the next side of that, and that's the agentic AI side of it. And I asked the question even on our own Twitter space that, what's going to be the biggest market cap in the future? Is that going to be AI? Is that crypto or robotics? And if you talk about it from the picks and shovels side of things, when I asked the biggest level of people that were there were not just the ones that were building software, but also the miners and the energy side of crypto and AI. And they all said the same thing to me. if for those people who thought that Bitcoin was going to cost the world so much in energy and electricity, they're not even close. It is definitely AI and how they incorporate AI into robotics. So the three things have to actually work together. And why do I say that so closely? Because even the vice president of the United States was saying that. He said something very interesting. And I sit there, listening to the vice president of the United States talk about it. He was very somber about it. He said, look, a lot of people think of AI in general as a left-leaning political, and that crypto is right-leaning. But the middle part of that is right in the middle. We got to come together, and we got to look at the technology of the front part. I really liked what you said, Dennis, about Nvidia. As you know, I bought Nvidia on that dip. I think I talked about it on the show last time. Bought it at 105. I dumped it at 143. Right? I know you said
right
earlier.
at the top. Big
Thank
V
you.
top.
Nice. And when people ask me about that, why'd you sell? Because you didn't sell the rest of the way up. I said, because the same reason I bought it at the bottom. It was capitulation at the bottom. People were screaming about the world is going to end tomorrow. We're not going to be using Nvidia chipsets. And I said, thank you. I'm going to buy down here. And I bought even more. But when we saw the earnings come out and Jensen talking about the future, what did he talk about? Robotics, AI, all these themes that we're talking about. But we're not quite there yet. And when we talk about charting, and I've said this on several shows, including your own, and I know you got charts in front of me, but the charts really haven't been that good for a trader right now. It's been based on one thing, whatever the hell Trump has been tweeting lately, right? I mean, we're living on headlines and news more now than we ever have, even probably even more than the first administration. So I am still looking at that, but I sold 143 at Nvidia. I thought maybe I'd made a mistake. And I didn't buy back. I still haven't bought back. I'm waiting, but I have a different thought process going forward in this whole sector. And I have a new stock pick for a lot of people. I'll be talking about on Schwab next week, and I'm talking about it now. And I have I'm going to make some more purchases on it too as well. But it's a stock in the past that was hot and no longer hot. So does anybody have
What stock?
All right, let's get to it. Right.
Wait, give me some more. Give us some more hits.
UiPath.
Oh yeah, we're gonna try to guess
Oh.
it. Joel likes to play games. He doesn't like to just get it. He wants to have hints and games.
You gotta tell me what the answer is, right? Look, this was a Kathy Wood stock. Why? She bought a whole bunch of it, and then she got rid of it, and she didn't know how to play it. The problem is that I don't think she understands the technology behind it, right? That's one of the cool things that I've always had an advantage, that I understand the technology, I understand how things work. But what was happening in UiPath in the past is that the CEO here has made a change in what he believes is the path forward. Now, that pun intended on that. But he is now saying what I have been saying, what the vice president has been saying, and again, in the general vicinity of AI, all those things I've been talking about, and it's agentic AI. It's how that we write software for robotics, how it is that we write the software to mimic us. As traders. In the past, you had to have someone who could write you an algo. In the future, you won't need that. The machines will write it for you, and UiPath has that software to do that and make it a lot easier. So now, if you wanted to look at the UiPath from a perspective of MACD, if you can add a MACD chart lines on there and indicators, I know you guys can.
Okay.
Oh, we should show your charts.
Okay. You
You
can
want to
see
show
it.
your charts, Big B?
I can, yes. But I would also say that if you look at it from a daily perspective, I know you guys talk about it from a trading perspective, and I love trading probably more than anybody I know. This is not a trading time. The trading time in the world is too fast for a lot of people, right? But right now, if you look at a daily chart of path, you are looking at the next level. I think a good buying opportunity. Now, I don't tell anybody what to buy or sell. It's just not me. But I do tell people, look, if you add the charts to the right way, I think you can see it. There you go. There's MACD, and pull up a daily chart, and you can see.
He's blowing it up.
Hold
there
on,
for you.
man.
This is
Look at
special.
this.
We never change our charts for anybody, so you're very special.
Oh wow, okay, I appreciate that. But I'll tell you right now, I would tell the same people the same thing. If your charts look the same today as they did a month ago, you're not doing it right. Because why? Because volatility changes. headlines change, news changes, the way that we work with it. But you're a little different, CFA, Dennis Dick. But when you look
I'm
at,
not
when I
the
look
hugest chartist in the world.
that's right. But look at that big, and if you look back in June, that big gap. That is a huge gap.
Yeah.
That
See
gap
it.
is parting.
Yeah.
And you can see after earnings that it popped up there. Some people took some profit on that. I really like that. The selling in path has slowed down as the new general direction of where we're going with agentic AI. Now, the thing that I wanted to talk about today on top of path, they use it, is robotics. And I saw robotics quite heavily as new versions. Interesting, a Canadian company, Dennis, is coming out called Real Robotics.
Don't mention the Canadian robotics company Dennis is investing in.
Is he? I'm in it already.
Is it Real
I've been in
Robotics?
it for a while. It's been. Where is that thing? I haven't looked at
Is
it
it
for a
is it
while.
Real Robotics?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Real robotics, XBOT.
Oh my God! Okay, well, I had a long
I've
chat.
been in it for a while. I
All right,
I bought this
I'll tell you, I like what he's doing.
because they're working on the.
They
I
are.
don't want to say. They're working on robotics that are relationship based.
Well, I will tell you
this
that I had a long chat with the CEO on 3 different occasions.
XBOTF in the States, Joel.
What is it?
XBOTF.
Yes.
Trades OTC.
I'll tell you, I had a long chat with the CEO there, and all the fun things are going on around it. TF. I will tell you that what they're working on. I got to meet Melody. I got to meet Aria. They're two robots they brought to the conference and talked.
Did you get a free trial?
Yeah.
Boom! It's already Monday morning. Look, I think that there are two levels of his robotics, right? I understand the one side of robotics, the companionship relationship. We'll leave it at that. But the other one that's interesting for me on that one is where you will no longer meet a person at the movie theater. You will no longer meet someone at the hospital. You will talk to the robot in front of you, right? That doesn't need to run around. It needs to be a talking head, right? And I got a chance to see that firsthand. What were they missing in the system? And that was finance. It was missing headline news, and it was missing things like that it needed. And when I look at that, that's easy to replace. That's easy to fix, right? You just attach what? Agentic AI, like Path, and companies that have data like ourselves. So I really like this robotic side of things, and I think now they're looking at a good future. I really like this company here now.
The thing when I was looking at this, and I don't like talking small cap stocks so much on PreMarket Prep, so I just had it in my own speculative portfolio. I know in the STN room we've mentioned it a few times. Is they had a lot of cash. So it's like, this isn't like, they have a lot of, like, I think when I was looking at it before, and they are burning cash because they're doing development, but they had 10 or 15 cents in cash, and the thing was trading at like 25 cents. I'm like, well, half the value's in cash. And then you look and you go to Realbotics website and you see what they're working on. I was like, this is really cool stuff. I mean, and these robots look like humans. They look like humans.
And I'll tell you, one of the things that he was talking to me about was that they will have facial recognition in the new version coming out next week, so that it noticed who I was, and when I came back, it re-recognized me again and knew what I was asking in the past, right? And already knew the questions. And one of the things I had was with Aria was it was giving answers to, hey, what show is playing over at XYZ casino, and it would tell you the answer, right? And at what time would you like to buy a ticket? Well, that replaces a human completely, right? And not one that has to hand you a ticket. Now, the one that has to answer all your questions, it can do that for you, right? Or point the direction to where the door is to walk in. You don't need that person anymore, right? And that's going to replace a lot of people. And he said the cost to build a robot will be cut in half within the year. So that to me told me everything, Dennis. And I think you're well on your way. If you wanted to quote buy the dip here on this one, I could definitely see that. I do like what
speculative capital only though. When you buy these things,
oh no, my God, no! Do not put your candy money in this. Do not put your
candy money. Exactly. That's what I have. Is like there's a place in everybody's portfolio, big beat, for some speculation.
Absolutely.
And some smaller names and like a storied stock like this. And I'm down in this thing. I think actually right now, I think I'm averaging averaged in around like 50 cents or 40. I bought it, but then I bought it twice. I bought it while at like 30 cents, and I bought more at like 50 cents. I think my average is like 44 cents or something on this right now.
I think you're going to be
So-
okay, because one of the things I liked about him was that he has been very successful in exits as well, right? He was the former CEO of mine, Hut 8, which was the largest miner at the time, right? So he has been very successful in the past with exits, and I I love that part about people looking at their quote quote pedigree. In that case, I literally liked it. But all of these things need software. Every single thing that we have, and that's for me is agentic AI for the future, and it's Path for me. I think Path has finally found their quote quote path, which is the next level. And meaning when I say agentic AI is that the machine itself learns who you are and pushes what you're looking at. Let's say, for example, after a while, the machine knows I'm an options trader, and it knows I like Nvidia stock, so it'll throw those kind of things, those data points in front of me. Is better than anything else. So I do like that. But I think another theme at the conference this week or last week, I think it was the adoption of it. I had a very dear friend of mine who was at Morgan Stanley for many years. He was one of their head traders in California. And over the last 2 years, I'll say Rick's name. Rick, over the last 2 years was, hey, give me a stock to buy, and don't say Bitcoin. Okay, Rick. Bitcoin. I don't know what to tell you, right? Bitcoin has been a nice run. No longer does he say that. Now the mainstream, and in this case, fiduciaries, how do I buy Bitcoin, right? How do I buy crypto? And you're seeing if you see that path, again, I think Coinbase really is doing quite well in making adoption of crypto very easy. For the first time, and my wife has been with me 18 years, she bought her first Bitcoin over the weekend, right? And didn't just buy once; she bought twice. I showed her how to do it because she finally asked me, and then she did it again because she thought the price dipped, so she liked it. I was like, I have created a monster, right? Right. But that's my point. I'm now seeing people who never wanted to own it now own it. Now, if I were to ask both of you, I bet you can't answer the question. What percent of Bitcoin has already been mined?
Isn't it like 55 or something? What is it? I heard this number.
93% of Bitcoin.
93?
Yes. And here's the problem, because Bitcoin mining is getting harder and harder, and the electricity around it is getting harder and harder to make, right? So the electricity around it is becoming. Now, if I were to ask the two of you, what is the most cheap thing to put in your home right now for energy? Do you know what it is? If you were to convert your home into whatever, what would it be the easiest and cheapest way to do it?
Cheapest source of energy. It's
Coal.
probably dirty. Fossil fuels. Coal?
No, it's solar panels. For the first time in world history.
Solar's that cheap now? Solar's always the most expensive.
Solar panels to get on your home is the cheapest to buy ever. Because why? There's now a plethora of it in China. We are not buying solar panels anymore from China. So solar in the United States prices have gone up, but worldwide solar panels, the price of them, we will win this. And I think you said it, Dennis, too. We might have some big problems coming up summer on tariffs. But if we were to get this problem solved, solar is going to be very, very, very.
What turns the solar story around then? Because I've asked this question myself. Is like you see the nuclear trade just exploding because we need all this energy. And
you and I were already in the nuclear trade before anybody else knew about that. I mean, it's CCJ. I was in that, and I told people this.
CCJ was a good one,
right? But let me talk about that for a second. Here is what I've heard from a lot of energy companies. I've been in the energy space a long time, the oil wells and all that, growing up in it. I will tell you this much. Nuclear is not about nuclear as we know it. You're not going to see these big 3-mile islands plants sitting out your back door anymore, right? It's going to be about micro plants in your home. And we see this now that where a home near you will actually look like a home, but it'll actually be in your subdivision, but it'll actually be a power plant. It'll be nuclear, and it'll power your subdivision or your town. If you think I'm crazy on that, great, but we're already doing it now. It's happening in Connecticut, and it's happening in Colorado already. They're already building them, and now there's a big plan to grow bigger. So nuclear energy is the big, and I think it's P235. It's not going to be like uranium going everywhere, but uranium prices are pretty depressed compared to where we think we'll be using them, right? And it won't be the same as putting P235 in a big plant. It won't be next to your house, Springfield, like in The Simpsons. It'll be more like a very small, like a microwave oven size, will be in your area, right? If you want to look at it from the perspective of that, the second one is wind. Wind right now is very cheap as well right now.
Relative to where it was, like, is that what you mean? Because it's come down. I know it's relative to where it was. We're just
okay. I'm sorry. I should say that compared to where it was,
relative to where it was.
Right. It's not cheap as in it's cheap energy compared to electricity the way we have it today.
Yeah.
But
I was getting confused. It's relative to where it was he was talking about.
Correct. Yeah, but you can't put those. You can't take a whole windmill, right, and get a Don Quixote feel to it and go put it right next to your house. It has to be. And the biggest problem that we know is energy is the energy lines, right? That most energy is lost by the time it gets to your house. That's why we have to step it down and all those things. So there is a huge problem in energy right now. That's why they want to take these nuclear things and put them closer to your house so we don't lose that much energy right now. Yeah, I see you pulling up Dominion. I agree with that.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick alert on this. This is caught in the crosshair of tariffs as well. Yep, because Trump wants to sink offshore wind, and that in Dominion. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what his rationale is for that, but I just wanted to give a quick alert on that.
No, you're totally right. And if you think about it, look at today's prices. Natural gas, right? It's cheaper right now for nat gas than anything, right? It's up 6% today. When people go, oh, well, nat gas only goes up during the winter. No, it isn't. Nat gas is how pretty much the Northeast, almost the Northeast corridor, is handled. And I see that Brent says hello. Hey man, how are you, Brent? It's good to see you again too. Yeah. But look, I if you want to talk about the Northeast, I think you got to look at Con Ed, right? ED, because Con Ed's the big one, and Con Ed's had a nice little run. I really liked Con Ed over the last this last year, of about 10-15%. And I think Con Ed, you buy Con Ed somewhere around the summer, and I dump it right around January. So if you're looking at your next level of long terms, maybe even long term leaps calls, it's Con Ed for me. I do like that one quite a bit. Yeah.
All right, Stephen Orr. See you over there at Quazar Markets. Dennis, did you want to throw something else in there, or we can let
No, I just want to say that was great, Big Beat. I mean, bringing us so many different ideas. I like that you brought us robotics. You're everywhere. He's all over, but I like the story.
Yep.
I like the stories here, Big Beat.
Let me tell you something. Here's the problem, and we all know. I'm going to be real honest with people. The number was 76% of retail traders lose money, right? Today the number is 89%. 89%. That's high, right? And people like you, Dennis and Joel, I appreciate giving real quality data to people and trying to help them understand how the real world works, right? But I believe that the biggest piece is not just learning how to trade, not just learning how to put market orders in, not learning how to chart. That's just basics. But I call it channel checks. If you want to really understand what you're buying, if you want to buy Walmart, go to Walmart. If you want to buy real robotics, go hang out with the CEO, right? Because you know what, you're going to get a better feel for that, and you're going to understand what you bought. And it's one of my rules, right? Buy what you know. And I want to say congratulations. I think you guys hit 1,100 views, by the way. Well done, guys. Look, I think a lot of people don't do those channel checks, and if you don't do the channel checks, then expect to lose money. I mean, that's how I feel about things. But anyway, guys, I'll look forward to the next time and having you on my own show too, huh?
Oh, we'll be
no
there.
red shirts,
Big
just
Pete,
no red shirts.
Okay? I don't care about colors of shirts. I think
and if you have gray pants on, You're out of here. I didn't say anything to Lisa. She had gray pants, red sweater on, but I just, I didn't want to upset her.
I
before
have.
she
You'll
went
be
to
happy.
work.
No, I don't wear pants on the shows. I only no.
Oh, you work for AMC. Okay. All right.
I wear shorts, man. Guys, I like it. This has been fun. I'll see you guys next time.
Okay, thanks. We'll be talking to you real
Big
soon.
B.
Thank you, Stephen Orr, CEO of Big B, joining us here. Pre-market prep, triple D. What ratings? What are you looking at? Or you don't even care
Yeah,
about
there was
ratings
a
today, do
few.
you?
Yeah, there's a few here. Nucor upgraded to BMO. I mean, they're chasing the steel stuff, and I'm like, we've seen these 11% pops before on steel news, on tariff news, and then they give it back. So I think Nucor is more of a set. I'm long in the long-term account, so talking against my book, I'm the only person in the whole world that does that. But it's probably another selling opportunity. Nucor has been, a place where it's just the value trade. It hasn't been the place to be. So I'm not chasing up 11% today because I've seen this story before. One that is interesting to me, and again, maybe a little late to the party, but a stock that is perking up and a value trade that is starting to show.
UNH.
No, not UNH. Boeing getting upgraded at B of A. Boeing upgraded to buy at B of A. I think they let me just go find the price target. They put a $260 price target on it, which is a street high now, 260. I mean, there's been consolidation stationed here above 200 for the better part of 2 weeks.
First time. Yep.
This is perking up. And I think this analyst is actually looking at the chart. I'm looking and saying, hey, this looks perky to me. I was looking at this chart too and saying the same thing. And then you have this upgrade here this morning. This could be a catalyst to kickstart here. So I'm actually interested in this name. I like this call. I like this call at this point in time, upgrading the stock just from a technical basis. I mean, if you're setting up stops and you're doing all that, 198 below that would be trouble. But, right now it's looking like it has a lot of life, isn't selling off with the overall market. Not that Boeing has a huge, value because they've been in cash burn situation here for a while. But, I mean, there's the path to get back to profitability here, relatively easy. I don't know if they were profitable in the last quarter. I should go look at that because they were for a while and not. No, they're still
You know
not.
what's
But
helped this stock so much? It hasn't been in the headlines.
yeah, well, I haven't had negative headlines because they only come out with negative headlines.
Right.
So that's helped. The lack of headlines for Boeing has been a good thing. I mean, it's come a long ways from the April lows of 130, so it does feel like you're chasing here a bit. But if it's a trade, I mean, stop yourself under 198 and see if you got some more upside here. It's setting up actually looking perky here again.
Yeah, it definitely on the monthlies here. You've had you cleared a really important area. Let's just call it 190. So if you think this thing's going back to 400 plus, which would be a tough road to hoe. I mean, looking at that, or if you're looking for a major pullback, if you want to nibble here and buy more at 200, buy more at 190, there's some technical setups. So. A very quiet. Do you think that people just stop trading during 8 to 9 and listen to pre-market prep? Because
That's for sure.
It's we've been it.
Let's stop and see what the pre-market prep boys are saying. Now we're commenced trading here once again.
Yeah. Final thoughts.
It's been a fairly quiet session. We really haven't moved much on the S&P. We've leaked a little bit. IWM's popped up a little bit. XBI's popped up a little bit more as people are starting to get a little bit of wind to all the good news in the biotech sector here this morning. It's still story kind of remains the same. I think the buy the dip mentality is out there, but it's changed a little bit in that we're selling the rip too now. So maybe we're back to that contrarian market where we're selling rips and buying dips as opposed to just, one-sided market where like we had in May where we just went straight up.
What about your beginning of the month trading tips?
Do I have those? End of the month? What's my
I don't know. Just all the new money had come in and they
got to come up with those.
No,
mine are end of the month trading tips.
Buy. They got to buy all the all the paychecks clear and go into the 401k and
that's end of the month too often, but yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll have to come up with more beginning of the month trading tips because mine are mostly at the end of the month. But I think I just same thing, fade trade. I'm still sticking with the fade trade.
I am not gonna quiz you on the guest tomorrow because you get so upset. But it's a good one. One of our old time favorites here has got us through the markets for a long time, Craig Johnson, managing
he's
director over there at Piper Sandler. I know a lot of you enjoy his commentary, so that will be our guest on Tuesday. And let's go over to the STN room and get ready to attack this open. Thanks for joining us on PreMarket.